This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was dealing with piles of paperwork and frustrating forms, and then waiting and wondering and worrying if you were ever going to get any money back. Now Taxes is easily uploading your forms to a TurboTax expert who's matched to your unique tax situation. An expert who's backed by the latest technology which cross-checks millions of data points for 100% accuracy. While they work on your taxes, you get real-time updates on their progress. And you get the most money back guaranteed, all while you go about your day. No stressing, no worrying, no waiting. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Get ready for success. Leadership Strategies for Women is a show dedicated to providing practical and valuable strategies for emerging women leaders of today. It's your time to get inspired, motivated, and challenged to achieve your vision for success. And now, here's leadership speaker and coach, Ellie Nieves.
This is the Leadership Strategies for Women podcast, and I'm your host, Ellie Nieves. I'm the founder and president of Leadership Strategies for Women, where I develop seminars and webinars to help high-achieving women show up, speak up, and step up in their careers. To learn more, please visit my website at leadershipstrategiesforwomen.com, or you can follow the Leadership Strategies for Women page on Facebook. Our guest is Alyssa Peek. Alyssa is a photographer, artist, and coach. She started her career in the fashion industry and spent over 20 years working as a buyer, merchandiser, and executive. She left the industry to continue to use her skilled eye and sense for fashion, color, and shape as a photographer. She used her camera as a tool to connect women to themselves, to their core, and thus show them a version of themselves they didn't know was possible. She also connects with nature in a way that offers a new perspective on traditional landscape photography. Alyssa, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to our interview, and I would love to learn a little bit more about your background and your interests.
Sure. So as you mentioned, I spent 20 plus years in the fashion industry. So I grew up in the Midwest, and I moved here to pursue that. My interests were always art, always going to museums, even as a little kid, like in the basement on the weekends with my dad, learning how to paint and draw and things like that. So I've always been really interested in art, which I've always used in fashion, and now I use in photography. And like I said, nature, like I love being in the city and being exhilarated and then getting back out and just really just connecting to nature. I'm a big golfer, and I like to keep active. So that's really what I do. I love to cook. That's my other thing. I'm passionate about cooking.
Fun. Nice. So it's one thing to have an interest in, let's say, photography and beauty and nature, and then there's another step where you say, you know what, I love this so much that I'm going to make a business out of it. So what inspired you to take that extra step to now own and launch your own business?
Well, I think like many of us out there, they get to a point where something changes in your life, and I got laid off my job in fashion. And then I was like, what's next, right? What am I going to do? And I just knew it wasn't going to work in fashion anymore, and I knew it wasn't going to work for someone else. So I really sat around and really thought, like, what is it that I love to do? And it is taking pictures, and it is seeing the world in the way that I see the world, using my eye and using my creativity. I thought, how can I do this and make a living out of it? And to be quite honest with you, it's more than just taking pictures, though. I feel like I've always been a leader. I've always been a coach in a way to help people in business, like, see their best version of themselves. So I really use the camera as a tool to show women their potential and their power. And so I just said, this is what I'm going to do. I went to a networking meeting. I will say that I really did define my niche as women over 40 in business. So I'm very clear on that. And I just started doing it. And the one thing I will say to anyone out there who's thinking of starting a business, no one is going to know about you if you don't talk about yourself. And you just have to tell everyone what it is you're doing. I remember the first time I was out at a party with my husband and someone said to me, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm a photographer." And he looked around and looked at me and said, "You're a what?" And I said, "I'm a photographer. If I don't start saying it, who's going to say it?"
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
And you're similar story to so many other women who are in the midst of a transition, and suddenly the light bulb goes off, and they determine that they can do something off on their own, and they can have the resilience to be able to make it as an entrepreneur. So thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, I think it's really an important part because it's not easy. It's 24/7, and yes, it's flexibility, and yes, it's freedom, but I never turn off being a photographer and an artist or a coach, right? It's 24/7, but it's something that I absolutely love, and it's who I am. And sometimes it's not about rebranding, but becoming. And I really think that I didn't rebrand myself, I became myself. And I think that that's true for so many women. Maybe they were in the corporate world and maybe they were doing something, but that's not who they are in their heart.
I love that. Not about branding, but becoming. I love that so much.
Yeah.
So you've alluded to this a little bit in saying that you are a photographer 24/7 and that it is a lot of hard work. So what are some of the challenges that you've faced in achieving your personal and professional goals?
I think we all focus on what we didn't accomplish in a day and not what we did accomplish. And I think we're really hard on ourselves. So if I make a list of actually all that I do in a day, I do a lot to push the needle forward or, to move everything forward. But maybe it wasn't what I intended to do that day. But it's always that struggle of, am I doing enough, right? So did I do enough today? And I think the answer is always yes, I did, but I don't always tell myself that.
Right. And what role does image play in our professional lives as women leaders?
Oh my gosh, I think it plays everything. I think that people judge you, whether we like it or not, the minute they see you. And to me, that doesn't mean you have to wear expensive clothes or have to be, totally done up, from head to toe. It's not about that. It's really about how you carry yourself. And I think that that speaks volumes. I really, yes, clothing is very important and how you do your hair and makeup, all that's very important. But how you walk into a room is, with the air about you, is your image. And it really starts from the inside. I was doing it was a coaching session for a woman the other day. We didn't even do a photo shoot. It was a coaching session, but I do use my camera in the sessions. And she's a senior vice president of this big financial firm doing global accusations. And I took out my camera, I took a picture of her, and she shrugged her shoulders at the last second. And I looked at her and I said, "What are you apologizing for?" That little shrug is like, "I'm sorry, I'm so smart. I'm sorry, I'm so successful." And so when I think of image, it is posture. It is how you're carrying yourself. How are you projecting yourself? So yes, it can come down to clothes and hair and makeup and all of that, but it really is this air of confidence that we sometimes are too apologetic for. And image is everything. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I would have normally asked you, why is branding so important for professional women? But I love what you said earlier. So I'll rephrase the question and I'll ask you, why is becoming so important for professional women?
I think there's always, the becoming is kind of like the why. What is your why? What is your truth? And I think if you live your life waking up, going to a job, that you're not passionate about, is it really your life or someone else's life, right? So I think that becoming, like I wake up every day, I don't have to pretend to be a photographer. I don't have to pretend to see things. This is who I am. This is how I see things. And this is how I talk to people. This is who I am. And I think it's important to live your truth, to be honest, to really, look, when I was in the fashion industry, it was a part of my truth. 100% it really was. I was into it. And then I wasn't. And so I think it's not pretending to be someone else. It isn't this how am I going to reinvent myself? I do think some people do reinvent themselves. But even the accountant who becomes the nutritionist is becoming herself in the nutritionist. I don't think she chooses to pretend to be a nutritionist, and she doesn't pretend to care about that. She cares about it, and now she's going to live her truth to show the world how she cares about it.
Nice. So how do you help women to see themselves from a new perspective?
I really help them. The camera really helps them. It helps me communicate and actually show them. So like I was saying before in the coaching session, just the way a woman holds her shoulders, her posture, I always say in my shoots, like, become the blossoming flower, not the shrinking violet. And some women are not in tune and in touch with their own body. And it's very difficult for them to not only be comfortable in front of the camera, but be comfortable in the skin. And the camera helps confront that in a way that they can actually see. So I could take a picture of someone and say, look how insecure you look. Look how you're hiding. And then there's proof of how they're being. And then I can show them what it looks like to stand up straight and to put your hands on your real waist. No matter, I don't care if you're a size 2 or a size 16, love who you are and show me the love that you have for yourself. And the camera really helps them see how they're hiding and helps them see their beauty.
Right. And can you share a before and after story of a client that you've worked with?
Yes, absolutely. I actually have a quote that my client just gave to me, actually. And she said, Alyssa helped me feel my own power in how I carry myself and how I even project myself in my speaking. I can see a difference between how I approach the world in a less than perfect, apologetic person, and I came into my own as in owning my power I really have in the world, and I'm very appreciative. And that's from this senior vice president of a company who was holding herself apologetically. And again, what I said to her is like, what are you apologizing for? You are beautiful, you are smart, you are successful. Own it. And so I think it's that. I have another client, Mary, who she's like, now I have physical proof. I have this picture. This is who I am. This is who I want the world to see. And before I was hiding, now I want the world to see this of me. And so the transformations, I think that's why I got into this type of photography. I studied beauty and glamour photography, and the transformations that the women were going through, I would sit and cry just listening to their stories. And I wanted to bring this to the businesswoman, because I used to have a tagline, Business Beauty Boudoir, and the idea really is that there is no separation, right? There is no, why can't you not be beautiful in business? Why do women have to dress like men to be seen or to be heard? They should be wearing the red power suit, the pink power suit. They should be showing up, or a dress, doesn't have to be a suit. And they should be showing up as confident women, not disguised as men. And so I really do help them step, in the photo shoot, the actual photo shoot, you have to role play, right? So I'll say to you, what are the 3 words you want people to think about you the second they see your picture? Because you're not always there to introduce yourself. Your picture is your introduction most of the time on LinkedIn or wherever. So it's about role-playing, stepping in, literally stepping into embodying this person they want to be. And it's really who they have it in them already. I just help them bring it out. So that's how I help them change the perspective and how they see themselves.
That's wonderful, and I can imagine how empowered your clients feel after they've worked with you. Thank you for sharing those stories.
Yes,
and also,
thank you for having me.
For you? Yeah. What's next for you?
What's next for me is really also building my coaching business, using the camera to really coach clients, whether they need the actual headshot or not. Maybe they have one, or maybe the headshot is kind of new already. But there is this sense of just the presence and confidence that I feel is still lacking. So it's about really growing that side of my business and continuing to do photo shoots and continuing to push myself out of my comfort zone and just reach more people. And I want to reach more women. My goal, really, the reason I started doing women over 40 in business is because we need to be seen, we need to be heard, and we need to get into more boardrooms and head of companies and be more leaders and get on more stages. So really, that is why I do what I do. It's not for me, it's for them. And in my art business, I'm continuing to look for interior designers and grow my business in the art world.
So how can our listeners find out more about your work or even get in touch with you?
Sure. So you can go to alyssapeek.com, and I have a landing page that will bring you to the 3 avenues of my business: the photography, headshot and personal branding, the art, and the coaching.
Fabulous. Alyssa, you have been a great guest, and thank you so much for teaching our listeners how they can become more powerful and more themselves.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Ellie. It's been a pleasure.
Wonderful. And to all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, God bless.